Guys, it's Dr. Adam. Today I just want to talk real briefly about allergies. So allergies in dogs and cats, obviously it's a common subject. And it's one that I find a lot of times gets more complicated than it should be. So to simplify allergies, first and foremost, we've got to separate this from our preconceived notion of humans. Humans and allergies, we think of stuffy nose, itchy eyes, little rashes on our skin. Dogs and cats, I want you to think of skin. Typically in dogs and cats, they're going to itch and scratch at their skin. That's how they manifest an allergy, irregardless of the cause of the allergy. So when we look at allergies, first thing we got to do is separate the seasonality. There's two types of allergies we see: seasonal, non-seasonal. With that being said, a seasonal allergy would be considered something that we only see a certain portion of the year. For example, dog comes into me, itch and scratch in April to June. I'm going to think of a seasonal inhalant allergy, what we call atopic dermatitis. That's typically something where they inhale a mold, a grass, a weed, something like that, and then they manifest it through their skin. The other type of seasonal allergy would be a flea allergy dermatitis. Especially if a dog or cat's not on a flea preventative, that would go pretty high up on our list. So with those seasonal allergens, you also got to look at where on the body are they itching. Atopic dermatitis, or the inhalant, would be more generalized: paws, undercarriage, their whole body, face and ears. Whereas the flea allergy dermatitis, it's typically manifested right above their rump region, right above the tail. And on an exam, we can usually see little flea dirt or little black speckles on there. So that would be my seasonal type allergy. My non-seasonal, January to January, this dog or cat's itching all year round, I would think of a food allergy first and foremost. Food allergy, we typically call ears and rears. These dogs that keep coming in for reoccurring ear infections. They keep chewing at their rear end or have chronic anal glands. Foods are top trigger for that. The other one would be an indoor inhalant allergen. Your house doesn't change all year round. Now there's times of the years where it's better or worse based upon your furnace or your air conditioner, but just certain variables that are in your house that can trigger an allergen as well. Those dogs, again, like the atopic dermatitis, it's kind of more of a generalized allergy. So once we determine the seasonality of the allergy, then we could go about trying to manage it. So for example, for a food allergy, we would do a food trial. So if you eliminate the triggers that set off the allergens in the body, you can eliminate it by picking the right food. And for those, we typically recommend limited ingredient diet, or what we call hypoallergen diets, for a food trial. Whereas an atopic dermatitis dog, a lot of these dogs, we want to go down a good anti-allergy med. We try and avoid steroids, and antihistamines typically aren't going to be effective. So we want to find a happy medium of a drug that's going to work in between. Whereas a flea allergy dermatitis dog, we're going to look at getting on appropriate flea medication and go from there. So once we address the primary allergen, that's going to hopefully eliminate the itching and scratching. What complicates a lot of these issues is the secondary problems. When their skin gets red and inflamed from the allergy, a lot of times yeast and bacteria will invade, whether it's skin folds or ears or crevices. A lot of times they'll get yeast and bacterial infections. So those dogs with what looks like the elephant skin in the armpits and the groin and in the ears, that's yeast. The dogs with all these little red dots and missing hair and kind of what we call the moth-eaten appearance, that's bacteria. So we have to address those first and address the primary allergen, and that's how we're going to avoid seeing you back. But if you do one or the other, if you just try and address the allergy and leave the secondary infections, it's not going to be successful. If we just treat the secondary infections, don't address the predisposing cause, which is the allergy, it's not going to be successful. So typically on these first visits, we're all in. Treat all the secondary infections. Here's what we're going to start for the suspected allergy. And then by eliminating the allergy, I'm going to avoid seeing you back. So these can be frustrating cases, but as long as we have those guidelines defined, typically it's going to be a successful plan. So hopefully that helps, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.